Hey everybody, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you might be joining us from in the world today. My name is Meg Alexander. I am, as always, honored and excited to get to host another Power to Fly Chat and Learn virtual event. Now, today, we're going to be talking about mapping your career, navigating growth in a tech-driven world. Before I jump over and introduce you to the fabulous speakers we get to learn from today, I'm very excited to give you a real quick glimpse of our code of conduct. This will be especially important if today is your first event with Power to Fly, or maybe you just never done one with us before. It looks like a big scary wall of legalese, but truly what it boils down to is don't be a jerk. As long as we operate from a place of kindness and respect, it's pretty hard to go wrong from there. But if you have questions on this, you can always DM me in the group chat, or you can email our help desk, which is hi, at powertofly.com. All right, now we've got a little bit of housekeeping, and this will help you know how to get the most from today's event. If this is your first event with Power to Fly, then welcome. We're so happy to meet you. Now, the love is no less real for my frequent flyers. So whether this is your fourth event or your 50th, we're so happy to see you. I really love seeing our familiar names and faces and avatars in the chat. So thank you all so much for joining us. Now, I do want to encourage you, if you'd like, you can always participate with your camera in these events. There's no need to be Instagram perfect, okay? Just because I got real fancy and did a weird messy bun today does not mean that you can't come to us with your bathrobes, messy buns, and furry coworkers, okay? We don't care where you are. We do not stand on ceremony. We just want you to come meet us and learn with us today. Now, if you don't want to participate with your camera, that's fine. You are always welcome to dive into the chat. If you'd like to head over there right now, let me pull up the chat in front of me. I would love to see where our global audience is dialing in from today. So please feel free to jump in there and let us know where you're joining us from. And if you know, you're more than welcome to share whose land you're on. I'm coming to you from Toledo, Ohio. This is land that belongs to the Fox, Kickapoo, and Potawatomi tribes in my area. The other thing I want to encourage y'all to do is to sit back and relax, because we are recording this session, which means you don't have to take notes. You can just relax, enjoy the conversation that I'm about to have with Jackie and Joseph, and not worry if you miss a resource that was listed or a link that was shared, okay? So what's going to happen is in 4 to 5 business days, so probably early next week, Power to Fly is going to send an email out to everyone who registered, not just everybody that showed up today. Hi, everybody. But what that means is you'll all get an email when this recording is ready, and we post it on powertofly.com, so that way you can remember, hey, go back and check this out. Now, let's say that Joseph or Jackie says something today that is just like, oh, mind-blowing, paradigm shifting. You can't wait 4 to 5 business days to tell a friend or a coworker or a relative. You don't have to. You can always head over to our YouTube channel where we're streaming right now. Hi, YouTube. And you can check out the recording there. It's usually posted by end of business today. There is a huge section of our recorded chats are saved in that YouTube channel, some of our favorites. But the full motherload, all of our free resources that we want to provide all of you with, all of that lives on powertofly.com. So I very much recommend, whether you live on YouTube or not, that you check out the our website to see all the free resources that we have to offer to anyone and everyone. Now, let's keep moving. I can't wait to dive into today's speaker. But before we do that, I just want to highlight that they are here today on behalf of Esri. If you take a look at the screen, this is what Esri's company page looks like on powertofly.com. If you want to go there yourself right now, you can, oops, sorry, y'all. You can check out the QR code that's at the bottom of the slide, and that'll take you to that page as well. Now, in case you're not aware of who Esri is the global market leader in geographic information systems, or GIS software. They're also the leader in location intelligence as well as mapping. Esri takes a geographic approach to problem solving brought to life by modern GIS technology. Since 1969, they have supported customers with geographic science and geospatial analytics, what they call the science of where. Now, by enabling customers to design more efficient cities, deliver clean water and electricity, fight crime, slow climate change, and stamp out disease, Esri is helping create the maps that run the world to make the world a better place. I love getting a chance to work with Esri people, and I think you'll find these two are no exception. First up, we have Jackie Burnett, who is an associate consultant. She focuses on the optimization of GIS within the managed land sector. Her background includes years of GIS support for environmental issues at local and regional scaling. After starting as an intern at Esri, Jackie has grown to independently and successfully manage complex projects and large technical teams to address evolving natural resource management challenges in the federal space. Jackie, welcome to the stage today. What else would you like our audience members to know about you before we dive on in on questions?
Oh, just that I'm really excited, and that I talk a lot about conservation and natural resource management, but there's a lot of tech in there as well, and have customers kind of all over that I'm working with in different industries. So we won't just talk about like trees and plants today, although I probably will throw a lot of that in.
Excellent. Love to hear it. Thank you, Jackie. Now, joining Jackie is Joseph Munyao. Now, Joseph is a senior technical consultant at Esri, where he leads the technology team within the Environment and Geodesign division of Esri Professional Services. Now, in this leadership role, Joseph partners with organizations to design and deploy enterprise-scale geospatial solutions using ArcGIS, enabling them to address complex challenges with agility and insight. With strong focus on strategic alignment, Joseph also advises clients on geospatial governance, developing frameworks that connect GIS programs to broader organizational priorities. His guidance on policies, standards, and operational models ensures geospatial systems are not only technically robust, but also enterprise-ready, secure, and sustainable. Through this work, he helps organizations unlock their long-term value, foster cross-functional collaboration, and scale their GIS capabilities with confidence. Joseph, very excited to welcome you to the stage as well. What else should our audience members know about you?
Thank you for having me here. One of the things I'll say is I love tech, and I appreciate how much tech has been able to help us resolve problems. And I think it's always fun to run into a problem and have an opportunity to figure out a solution for it. So glad to be chatting with you all today about all these things.
Excellent. All right. So obviously we're going to dive on in on some questions today. We have questions that we prepped based on stuff that we knew y'all would want to know today, but you are all here and joining us live. So we want to reward you for spending this time with PowerToFly and Esri. So if you have questions, please throw them into the group chat. If you have questions that you would like me to raise and you want them raised anonymously, you can DM any question to me. So just find my name, Meg Alexander, and DM to me in the dropdown as opposed to sending the message to everyone. And if you want us to dive in deeper on some like terminology or anything, please, y'all, you are here. We want to make sure that you have a seat at the table. So make sure that you are asking the questions you want to ask. All right. So let's start with, we're going to start from a career pivot note. Mostly because I feel like that's a lot of the time when people are talking about kind of mapping out the rest of their career, at least from my perspective, a lot of times people are talking about moving into a different one. Now, Jackie, I know you're not a pivoter, so I want to go to Joseph first. If you're trying to plan a pivot into a new field, how should people do this? Where should they get started?
Perfect. That's a really great question. And I would say, especially in the world that we live in today, there's a lot of changes that are coming our way. And sometimes things are going to cause you to need to do a change. And that's no different when it comes to our careers. When it comes to pivoting to a new field, I think one of the biggest things I would say is really try to find a clear or sort of try to find the clarity on the why behind the pivot that you want to do. And the reason I say this is because the driving factor, the driving motivation for this is going to lay a foundation to really how you can plan. There's some people that choose to pivot because, hey, you're looking to get more money. Or there's some people that pivot because you're looking for a new challenge. Or maybe there's something that you're like, okay, I'm looking to pivot because the place that I'm in right now, I'm not enjoying it as much, or the kind of work that I do, I'm not enjoying it as much. And so all those particular reasons, and whatever the reason it is, it's going to be a key factor in how you really can prepare to be able to pivot. Now, when you've identified that and you have a very clear sort of understanding of why you're really doing this, the beginning piece of sort of step that I would advise here would be kind of do what I would call a SWOT analysis of your own self. And what I mean by this is kind of like establish what your strengths are, your weaknesses are, what are the opportunities that you're trying to pursue or kind of go to, what are some of the threats and things like that. And with that extensive assessment, try to figure out how can I fill in the gaps of where I find shortcomings or where I find opportunities to grow so that I can be better placed for that new field that I am going to be going to. It goes without saying that you should do your research and try to learn the new area that you're jumping into. And I think that's really important because you don't want to just go to bed, wake up, and you're in a new field and you're like, you have no idea how this operates, or you have no idea what gets done here, the business lingo, and anything within that sort of field. And so doing your research to understand exactly what is in there, it's really important. One of the things I would say here is be objective as you're doing your research. Do not lean more on just what favors you and sort of like what you just want to hear. Try to figure out what does success look like in that new field, and what does challenges look like in that new field. And that way you can have a very objective kind of look into that and be able to say, yes, I would be willing to invest the amount of time or effort in overcoming the challenges that I might end up finding in that new field, or I'm willing to do whatever it takes to really pursue success in that new area. And then the last thing I would say here is be open-minded. Most of the times, or sometimes, things do not go to plan, and while you might prepare and really feel ready and prepared to go and do the change, you might go into it and run into things that you did not expect. And at that particular point, if you're really not flexible, then that brings another challenge to yourself. And being open-minded and being in a state where you're willing to sort of take a different path or things like that, it's really key into your success, because if that happens, hey, it's not the end of the world. You're willing to wake up and go to something else that you might find your success in. So that would be my sort of bite on that.
Oh, I like this. I think it's really good advice, and it really does it details a little bit how sometimes you get advice that seems like, well, why wouldn't you do that? Until you think it through and realize a lot of times when people want to pivot, it's not always a long decision coming. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's just something like the spur of the moment, you're just like, nope, can't do this anymore. There's, a lot of different ways people come to these things. And if all you know for sure is I don't want to be in the seat I'm in now, you could make all kinds of choices, decisions, actions, whatever, exert a lot of time and energy towards one area only to realize, no, not that one either. So I very much appreciate the kind of like stand back, really take a look at why you're not happy, because then you can try and figure out like, do you need to pivot to a whole nother industry, or do you just need to pivot to a different side of the same industry or to a different company within the same industry? So I really like this advice here. We did get one question from the chat. Melissa had asked, how many interviews with those already in the career you'd like to pivot to would you recommend? Because this is something a lot of people talk about, is like wanting to if they have a friend in the industry, they want to talk to that friend, or they want to talk to people that are in it. Do you think that these types of interviews, like kind of informational fact-finding stuff, is good? And if so, how many would you recommend people do?
I think that's a really key sort of information nugget there, and it's a key thing to do. In terms of putting a number on how many, I think it might be a little bit too difficult to do that. I would say it's kind of more of do as much as you can, because sometimes we never get to a point where we feel like we are prepared enough. And as many as you do, the more comfortable you are and the more information you get. And so being able to just do as many as you can with the constraints that we have, whether it's from a resources perspective or it's from a time perspective and things like that, do as many as you can, and at least try to gather as much information and perspectives as you can. I would say at least don't go below 3, at least talk to at the very bare minimum 3 would be probably my advice. But I think as many as you can would be sort of that. This is what I would shoot for.
Yeah, no, I like 3 because then you can kind of like ask similar, depending on the person, ask similar questions to try and see, if the answer really changes later, like level to level or company to company. No, I think this is really good. Did you have anything else you wanted to kick in? I want to make sure we're not skipping Jackie in this. Good. Okay. All right. And thank you, Melissa, for that question. That was a really, really good one. I appreciate that. Okay, here, let me pull my questions back over. There we go. All right. So one of the next ones that was really really interesting, I thought, is people want to know like kind of what steps to take to navigate a career change successfully. Now, this is obviously going to depend largely on the specifics, the particulars of everybody's situation. But what steps do you think come once you've started with your research phase and trying to figure out like what exactly don't I like about this? What am I looking to find? What comes after that?
So I would say that background sort of strategic research that you're doing is a key ingredient into your success here. You of course have a very clear understanding of why you're doing this, and that is now in your bag. Now, what do you do next in that case? My go-to advice here would be first begin with filling in the gaps where you found that you have gaps. Because if you're getting into a new field, probably it's a new field that requires a specific certification that you do not possess or you do not have at this particular point. I think that would be a great place to start. And if you can basically start by filling in those particular gaps while you're still at your current position or you're still at your current place, that starts helping you get the skills and get the tools that you need to be able to get into that next field or next phase as needed. The other thing I would say is, if you've not done this already, I would say start building relationships or continue expanding your network, especially with folks that are in that new field. And that is going to give you some sort of perspective on what are some of the things that I could expect, or what are some of the things that I might not know right now, but they might be really key for me to be able to succeed. What are some of the tips and tricks that I should lean on, especially when I run into some specific situations and things like that? And that is going to really help you as much as possible. The other thing I would say is, and I think this is kind of what Melissa was talking about a few minutes ago here, it's really talking to folks and kind of doing those interviews. I think even if it's something that you're doing for the purposes of just like as a mock or some sort of like a preparatory interview, I think that is really great, and it kind of helps you be able to see what are some of the things that I might not be knowing right now that I need them, but doing those interviews kind of turns on a bulb and you're like, yeah, that is something that I did not think about, but it's actually now required. And so now I have an assignment that I need to go complete. And so those are some of the steps I would say you should kind of focus on when you're looking to do that pivot at that point.
I like this. Jackie, I wanted to bring you in on this because I wanted to my next question, I want to start with you and then we'll go to Joseph. A lot of times when I have been in a place of like, I don't really like where I'm at, what do I want to do? I've had like 6 careers, I've pivoted so many times. However, one of the places I tend to start from is with my interests. Do you think that that is a good way to build a personal career map? Is that anything that you kind of use to weigh in when you're looking at what you want your career to look like?
Yeah, personally for me, that's how I've driven my career, is my personal interests. Before working in tech, I was a whitewater rafting instructor, like in outdoor recreation. And that's where I was like, oh, I don't want to give up on that. I know that maybe that's not something I can do forever, but how do I keep all of this love that I have and then transform it into like a 9-to-5 job if that's what I'm looking for? And so not just looking for a tech position at whatever company, because I think that will lend itself to burnout, starting with what are you interested in? Because then I also think that's how you market yourself better, right? Like so many people know different programming languages and have the skill set, but if you can come into an interview and convey that you actually care about the mission work that's being done, and the like subject matter rather than just the tech, I think that's one way you can distinguish yourself and then also be more invested, right? A career change takes a minute. There's probably going to be discouragements, but if it's for something you really want at the end, you're going to be more willing to probably put in the work and start at the beginning and learn the skill sets that you need to learn and do those informational interviews while you're probably still doing your other job, right? Like it takes a lot of work. And so I think the more that you're passionate about it, the easier it is.
I think that's a great idea. And also like thinking of it, even if you've been doing this for a while or you've been trying to pivot and you're kind of not getting anywhere, I like the idea of kind of stepping back and then like let's try and plan this whole thing according to kind of new criteria. And honestly, granted, I haven't always had the luxury of being able to like follow my bliss. I think a lot of people have felt that before, but trying to find something that interested me personally is what led me to Power to Fly. I didn't apply for this job. I applied to be a talent sourcer. I was the kind of person who would send you emails because I thought you'd be a good fit for a role we were sourcing for or an event like this. And so one of the ways that I got into doing something I absolutely loved was by starting with a company who was doing something I believed in. And so truly, I had never been in the HR space at all, or in hiring or anything before I started working for Power to Fly. And so it's truly kind of brought me into this entirely new workspace where I have thrived despite all, like all of the things that could have happened. So I absolutely love this advice because like it otherwise I never would have found Power to Fly. I'd still be working for somebody local in Toledo or manufacturing or any of the like six careers I had before this. So I think it's a really good idea, even if just as like a thought experiment to try and see where else you could kind of look because your interests are what make you an interesting person. So like and nobody's are the same. So check out what yours are. Joseph, do you feel like this? Have you used your own interest to guide your career search, or has it been a little bit lower on the totem pole for you?
You make a very good point, and listening to you say that it's something that is like, yeah, like I hear you loud and clear, because one of the things that I tell people is find something that if I woke you up at 2 a.m. in the morning, you would be happy to wake up and go do that. And that can only be sort of realized if you're doing something that you're super interested in, something that you're super invested in, because then at the point that you're facing the most difficult challenges or sort of the most toughest times, you have something that is deep within you that is really driving you to wake up or sort of to go pursue this and be able to make an impact. And so personal interest is something that is really, really pivotal to how you can define your career, or sort of how you can pursue your career and really be happy with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I absolutely agree. All right, we're getting some really good questions in the chat. So I'm saving these because they're going to dovetail with some other stuff we're going to talk about later on. So thank you for those great questions. Keep sending them in. Let's see. Okay, a lot of people are trying to pivot into tech right now, not especially, but a lot of people are trying to pivot into tech, and not all of them are fresh into the tech space. So if you're trying to stand out from other tech applicants in your changing industries, and I already kind of feel like you're behind the eight ball or stacking up to the other applicants, how do you recommend people market themselves if they're transitioning from something else into the tech space? Jackie, do you want to start us?
Yeah, I think some of the advice we'd previously given is helpful, right? That if you're able to show that you have a passion for the tech and whatever you're applying the tech to, rather than just you are doing this because you've done it for 20 years and this is all you know how to do, right? I think people can see that interest and it hooks people. I also think moving into the tech field changes all the time. And so if you're just moving into it, you're probably pretty up to date on the most recent tech. Like I learned, if you guys know anything about GIS, I was training on ArcMap. We don't use that anymore. So my previous years of experience aren't as helpful. And so I think there are ways to talk it through and kind of market yourself saying like, yeah, I might not have as much experience, but I have the most up-to-date experience. And the tech world looks very different now than it did 5 years ago. So putting effort into kind of learning what the most recent trends are and what the newest tech looks like so that you're really up to date on it, hopefully will help you stand out a little bit more from people who maybe have been doing something one way and are doing that for forever and aren't really open to change.
Yeah, absolutely. Joseph, did you want to add to this?
Let me add and say, I have this thing that I say, technology is a tool, and it's supposed to help us connect the dots and make impact to people, to the environment, to the organizations that we work for or we work with, and things like that. And if you come with that mentality, one of the things that I have seen really sort of really useful is because tech is something that anyone can learn, or sort of like at least 9 out of 10 people can learn and be able to apply it. Think about, how do I want to use technology to really make impact? How do I want to use technology to really make an impact on organizational goals, organizational sort of like vision, and really what matters to the organizations and things like that. And so for you to be able to stand out coming into a tech industry sort of kind of career lattice or something like that, I would say think about, more importantly, on how can I position myself to make an impact, more than how can I come in and basically check a box of responsibilities that are listed somewhere and say, I do this and this and this and this. But think about it from, what is the impact that I can make? How can I leverage tech to really make that impact as much as possible? And then make sure that you also have these transferable skills, if I may call them, because these are things that can cut across any particular industry or any particular thing. And while tech is a teachable thing, being able to have the transferable skills really help you to be able to sort of plug and play within that new industry, or sort of within that tech industry, and really make you stand out. And so that's something that I would say really pay attention to. And to what Jackie said, just being able to kind of keep up with the tech and know what are the trends, what are the things that are really happening out there that technology can be leveraged to make impacts and things like that. Great advice. And I think it's something that this can complement that, and you would be ready to go.
Oh, loving all of this. Okay. Let's move into kind of career growth areas. A lot of people want to, when they think about growing their career, it's generally seen kind of pretty linear, right? You're climbing the ladder, you go into management, this is how you do. If you are interested in career growth outside of the management track, how do you recommend people kind of start to assert that or navigate it? Joseph, you want to start?
Happy to. We are very fortunate, and I hope Jackie would agree with me on this. We are very fortunate to work in the geospatial industry. And the reason I say that is because there are so many opportunities within the geospatial industry that almost anybody can wake up and use location intelligence to make an impact or to contribute to any industry, whether you are in the manufacturing, whether you are in real estate, whether you're in conservation, and all these particular things. Now, one thing that I do want to emphasize here is, outside of the management track, which is great, there's a lot that you can do within just the tech side of things and outside of that management track. One of the things that I usually say is, you can find a specialty and really be the expert of that particular area. And then you become the go-to person for that, whether that is being a programmer, whether that is being a data scientist, whether that is being like a cartographer and things like that. So that is something that I would say, be an SME, or sort of be an expert in a very specific area that can help you be that sort of like thought leader in that particular area for you to be able to succeed. The other thing I would say is, have or work towards having a track record or a success sort of package that you can put on the table and say, as a technologist, these are the things that I've been able to do. This is how I've been able to use technology to really sort of impact different things in life and in different organizations. And that makes you stand out and kind of, again, become that go-to person. One of the things I would say is don't be afraid of taking risks or taking sort of like things that you feel like they're bigger than yourself, because that's how we learn. And unless you push yourself to taking things that can really challenge you to go back into Google or some other sort of like resource that I spend a ton of time doing things like that, it's going to be some sort of, you're stagnant in one place, and then you do not have a path of growth to that sort of like senior level which you desire. But if you're able to really sort of want to go to that next level of pushing yourself, challenging yourself, and being able to sort of like really push the envelope, I think that makes you really stand out and gives you a perfect path to being able to grow to very senior and sort of like impactful ways outside of just being in the management track.
I like that. Jackie, you were nodding a ton. Is there anything else you wanted to chime in here?
I think Joseph nailed it about trying to find something that you're interested in to become a subject matter expert in. Like, then you're not in the management track per se, but people know to go to you when they have questions about things, and you get to kind of decide more what that looks like for you and what you want to actually be a subject matter expert in and how to apply that. So I think Joseph nailed it.
Yeah. That. All right. So on that same track, if you are looking for leadership, if you do want to join leadership at some point, what kind of skills do you think people need to develop if that is something that they're looking towards? Jackie, do you want to start?
Yeah, and I think that it's harder to say the exact skills that you need, because I think that changes, right? We can say soft skills, but that's pretty vague. But just demonstrating experience and growing in that experience, I think if you demonstrate leadership skills at a small scale, that makes it a lot easier to justify leadership positions at a larger scale. And that's how you grow those skills that you need, and you learn actually what skills you need rather than us just telling you and you trying to apply it to your specific career track. So if you can't go in and start leading a full tech engagement or creation of something, but there are subparts of it, trying to be proactive and ask for more leadership opportunities or more responsibility with something small, right? Someone came to me as a project manager and said, I want to take more responsibility on this part of the tech because I'm trying to eventually become a technical lead. Like, if they have the reach back support from me, I'm never going to tell them no. And so as you continue to grow that and you show that you're eager and you're genuine and that you have the conversation skills to talk to people and the conflict resolution, and I think risk management is huge, being able to identify risks and proactively communicate them and try to mitigate them. If you show that to me in a small scale, then the next time I have to pick a technical lead, I'm going to be more inclined to give you a chance at that. And then from there, it's going from a technical lead to then wherever that career takes you, I guess. So I think that was all a roundabout way of saying that, like, I think experience is key, and that's how you realize the skills that you need. And you can do that at a very small scale. You don't just need to suddenly be managing a team to be in a position of leadership.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something that we talk a lot about. We have a bunch of chats that cover this topic about, like, what do I want to stay an IC or an individual contributor, or do I want to move into management? And we talk to people who've done both. And I think you're right. I think it comes from whether you are the kind of person who wants to lead from a title or from a position, or if you want to be the kind of person that leads without that influence behind you. Because you can do both, and you can do one or the other, but it just kind of depends. You can't do both at once, obviously. But I think that'll also kind of help inform where you might like to be. You know what I mean? Like, if you know that you like to lead, but you aren't necessarily sure that you want to be in a leadership capacity, you can still flex those leadership muscles absent the job title. Um, that way, that enables you to start kind of polishing these things up and getting to the point where you want to be in whatever way you view leadership. Okay, this one's going to go to Joseph first. A lot of people want job search strategies. There's, obviously the AI and the Google are all of the fabulous bits of this, but what advice do you have if people are looking to find new roles within the current market?
Um, Really, really great question. And it's funny you mentioned AI because we've been having conversations just in the hallways about like how we are thinking about AI and how that is going to be impacting the even existing positions that people have right now, as well as future positions that could be open for people to be able to fill in. And I think we are in a really, really great position because tech has really pushed us to a point where we really need to be really creative and think about how we can plug in ourselves so that we can be better resources, more efficient, more effective in what we do, and things like that. Now, discovering how to get like new roles in the current market, I would say there's plenty of opportunities out there that we can all sort of pursue and run to. Uh, the thing is going to be, how do you get down to you are the right person for that opportunity? And for me, I think it kind of begins again with Meg, what you said, and Jackie mentioned this at some point as well. What's your interest? Can you find the thing that you're really, really passionate about? I would say five, maybe I would even say like 7 out of 10 of people that are really successful in what they do, they have a passion that is tied to what they do. And if you can find that and find a way of articulating that to the opportunities that are out there, you can literally create even a position where there was no position. And I think that's really great because sometimes we kind of need to get out of this mindset of I'll go to a company website and just look at the open positions and be able to say this is what they need and things like that. You can also look at a company and be able to say, this company does 1, 2, 3, 4 things. And I know I would be able to impact that company in 1, 2, 3, 4 ways. And you can have a conversation with that organization, whether it's at the HR level, whether it's someone that you know from that organization, and really express your passion and express how you can contribute. And in scenarios where that position is not available, is not currently open, you could actually influence the company into understanding the need for that particular skill set and value. And there you land yourself a niche and, in fact, a job security, I would say. Um, Complementary to that, I would say being able to leverage your network is something that I would highly, highly recommend. Sometimes knowing people or being able to have conversations with people that are in specific positions or specific areas that you're interested in is really key because that helps you kind of learn, are there any particular opportunities or even things that have not been sort of put out there, but there are opportunities, and you can leverage that and be able to go in and make that impact. The other thing I would say is have a package of your success story and have that ready to tell at any particular point, because in your job search or in pursuit for new careers and new opportunities and new roles, you're going to have a lot of conversations. And it really helps if you can put together a package of these are things that I have done, and this is how I've contributed to different organizations and how I have made impact. And that can really help you be able to navigate these conversations and kind of sneak in these particular successes, and people get to see the value that you bring to the organization. And you can find yourself a very good path for your new career or your new role in that sense.
Okay, we have about 20 minutes left in today's event. I know it always goes really fast, but if you have questions, please send them in. We would love to get to them. We did get one in the chat that I thought was very interesting. Justin just asked, how do you make such conversations happen? I can't even get opportunities to chat about jobs that they have listed. How could I get them to talk to me about positions that don't exist? I can tell you what my take is, but I'm sure most people want to know what Joseph and Jackie's take is. So Joseph, start us out here. How would you recommend if somebody wants to have that conversation? Like, let's say somebody they want to be the elephant trainer at PowerToFly because we currently don't have one. How would you recommend somebody reach out?
I would say it begins with building the right relationships, because if you identify, let's say, PowerToFly as the company that you want to approach, hey, you've got Meg here, you've got some other folks, and being able to start with the people that you know and start pitching your idea, or sort of start showing them, hey, there's some idea that I have that I think could actually help PowerToFly be able to make more impact, be able to succeed more into what they do. Or maybe, hey, I'm looking at PowerToFly, and there's some things that I see as opportunities, and maybe nobody within PowerToFly has thought about that. And being able to actually find these people that are within that company and start these conversations in very informal ways, and then kind of pitch your idea. I think that's a great way to start, because as long as you can identify the gap, be able to come up with the idea on how you can actually add value or bring value to that, then pitch that or sort of communicate that to someone, then that is going to ring a bell, and you're going to be like, hey, can I have you talk to maybe our HR person, or can I have you talk to the manager that is in charge of this? And then that becomes the open door for you to be able to go and have that conversation. And before you know it, they'll be like, yeah, I think this person has something that we really, really need. And if we bring them on board, then that is going to unlock some potential that we have that we've just not tapped into.
I like this, and I very much want to emphasize something that you said, which was like, ask questions. Don't just go in there and be like, hey, so you don't have an elephant trainer, and you need one. You need one like yesterday. People don't want to be told what they need, right? But if you go in and you're like, hey, I was looking at your website and I see that you do X, Y, and Z. Is there a reason you don't have an elephant trainer on staff? Like, is there somebody that does this freelance? Because otherwise, I don't know how you guys do this. That's really amazing. Coming at it from a curious perspective is far more likely to get you answers and like interaction than coming at it from a like, well, you need blah, 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 blah. Like, Jackie, how about you? If you were trying to do one of these, like, would you cold call or cold email a recruiter? How would you go about this?
First, I just want to say, if y'all ever do need an elephant trainer, I have no experience but would want to apply. That sounds very cool.
Please do, because I will be first in line applying, so you can be number two.
Okay, perfect. I'll start training now. But I think cold emailing scares me. It's not something I'm good at. I think I'd stare at a computer for an hour plus trying to draft an email and not have anything. But love talking to people face to face. And I think that takes more work to find a way to get in front of people. But if you're able to, I think that involves going to conferences and leveraging your network and actually going out and networking and trying to find people. And it might involve a chain. It might be like, oh, well, Joseph knows someone who knows someone who knows someone. Let me slowly work my way up that chain and be interested in every conversation. You're not just using them for a means to an end. You're gathering intel every time and trying to learn more. And eventually you'll land in front of the right person, hopefully, right? Can't guarantee that. But I think the more that you can actually physically talk to someone and have them remember your name, and then once you've convinced them that like you would be a great fit, that you aren't just here checking boxes, but you're here because you want to help this company and you are passionate about what they do, they're going to be more inclined to say, well, yeah, let me talk to HR and let me see if I can get someone to help talk to you. I think people are the ways that you get these jobs rather than just an email chain or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. As somebody who was sitting in this chair and was getting cold emails from people saying like, hey, I want a job, I can give you a couple points. If you want to ask them questions, if you're trying to, like, don't just say like, hey, can I have 5 minutes? Tell them a couple of your questions. If you are emailing somebody and you're just dumping out your resume and then saying, where do I fit? That's not much to go on. Rob had answered in the chat, some things that I thought were really great. He said, include the job number for the position that you're interested in and all available info. So that way they know you've done a little bit of work. You're not just coming to them being like, hey, I need a job. Where could I fit here? Because, people, granted, this is what recruiters do, but they're always going fast, 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 trying to like maximize time to fill the roles, right? He also said it's usually a good way to pose this is like you want to set up like a brief virtual copy date. Totally fine, but like tell them what you want to talk about. Have like a couple questions already there, because that way people are more likely to help you if it's an easy ask for them. People want to be helpful, but they don't want to like have to go above and beyond. So yeah, like have a couple like specific questions and then use AI to draft your email that you're going to use to email cold. Okay. Then you're going to reread it over, make sure it sounds like you before you send it out. The last step is going to be to remember no one will remember getting these emails past like 3 months from now. So please don't be embarrassed. Okay. We're not embarrassed by reading them. You're going to send them to 400 people. If you think it's going to be embarrassing, make the robot write it first and then check it over. And then at least you're like, well, they're not ignoring me. They're ignoring the robot. So it's fine. So that worked for me, but hopefully it'll work for y'all too. Okay. What else do we have in here? Oh, all right. So, the next question, we want to talk about roles that offer on-the-job training. It can be kind of hard to find. This one's going to go to Joseph. If that's something you're interested, you want to get trained on the job, how do you recommend looking for that? Is there a certain phrasing that you look for? Do you ask the recruiter? What do you mean by this?
So this is a really great question, and thank you for the person that asked the question. I would say this. Every specific company that I've worked for or every client that we've worked for, they've got a model that they use to do their business or to carry their day to day. One of the biggest things I would say is almost every company is going to invest in you to get you ready to contribute to what they really care for. And that is going to come in form of training. That is going to come in the form of mentorship programs that they might have. That is going to come in the form of pairing you with someone that can be your sort of like on-the-job training kind of shadow that is going to help you kind of get ready for that position. Because trust me, if the company brings you in, they really want you to contribute to their mission, to their vision immediately or as soon as possible. And if they've seen the value in you, they will be willing to put in or invest in you to get you to that contribution sort of status as soon as possible. So do not be afraid of, hey, how am I going to get into this company and then figure out a way of training myself on their business model and things like that. I would say a lot of companies do that. I would say, again, very fortunate to be in Esri. We have a very, very thorough sort of training programs. People get flown into like our headquarters in Redlands to take like 3-day boot camps where you literally are put in a place where you're basically just being taught, this is how Esri does business. This is how, in your position, you are expected to contribute. This is how your success path kind of looks like. This is an example of someone that is in your position that can help you kind of talk you through, this is how I started, this is how I got trained, and this is how I'm able now to transition into that sort of contribution perspective. And so, great question, but don't be afraid of the training perspective of the company. The piece that I'm going to tell you to do is do your part. Make sure that you are ready to bring the value that you can bring to the company. And you will be able to adapt based on that on-job training or that preparation that the company is going to equip you with to be able to contribute. So do your part. And if the company sees your value, they will do their part on investing in you and getting you ready for that contribution status.
Yeah. Melissa is chiming in the chat saying their experience was that tech startups are often the best places to learn a new field since you often have to wear more than one hat in your role. And as the company grows, you can find an area that you like to focus on. So I absolutely would second that because hi, that's what I did. Let's see, what else can we ask here? Oh, okay. A lot of people wanted to know, how do you get job experience when entry-level roles require 3+ years of training? This was like really, really a popular question. And honestly, I will, as much as I hate to tell y'all, like as somebody who is just old as the hills, it's been like this for a grip. They've wanted 3+ years experience for entry-level roles since at minimum 2008 because I was looking. Um, if somebody is listing this, how do you tackle that? How do you apply for something when you are entry level, but you don't have 3 years of experience to fall back on? Jackie, how do you approach this?
Yeah, I know I experienced this a couple years ago, and I'm coming straight out of college and trying to find a job and don't have what I would consider any years of experience, right? I'm just graduating. And I think that there's two sides to it. There's putting in the actual work, and then there's how you sell yourself and how you market yourself and what you describe things as. So maybe I didn't have a job, like a 9 to 5 full-time job before that, but I had internships and I had class projects that I actually was using GIS tech for more than just like a couple of minutes. Like they were pretty in depth. I did research related to geography and GIS, and I did volunteer work related to it. And that requires a lot of time. And I understand that that's a privilege and that not everyone has that. But finding ways to be involved, it does count as experience, right? And I think that then you can kind of word that on your resume and word that in your interviews to say, this is a lot of experience and here's what I've gotten from that experience. So I think if you're able to, while you do your current job, find ways to, whatever you're trying to get into, or while you do your current work or whatever, find ways to do whatever the experience they're looking for on the side. I think that's the biggest thing. And then trying to just, again, reframe that in your mind as maybe it wasn't a fully paid job, but that's still experience.
Yeah, of course, please. Yeah, anything that you did. This is one of those things that people struggle with. They start to understand it more if we're talking about soft skills, where like if your communication skills, you've been working on those since day one because you exist as a person on the planet. Like
Yeah.
you've had to. Even just like as a child to get your basic needs met, you had to figure out communication skills. So I think that if we break things down to the super basic building blocks of like to move box to that shelf, like then you can find ways to transfer your skills in a lot of other ways. But I also very much appreciate this. It doesn't just have to be paid to be professional experience. It does not. It can really be, like you said, volunteering, using your skills, working on projects for classes, all this kinds of stuff absolutely does add up. Joseph, do you feel similarly?
Very much so. I'll add maybe 2 points into that. In case you're looking for some ways to sort of like stack up that experience when you're not fully employed, like a 9 to 5 thing, I find certifications in the area that you're interested in to be a really great way of getting experience. And if, for example, you're in the geospatial field and you have a certification in the area, I think it's something that you can utilize as experience. I tend to be of the mindset that experience does not just equal to my employment attached to a specific company, but I tend to look at it as what has been my work done or sort of my practice within that area that I'm interested in. And so certifications would be a great way to do that or accomplish that. And the other thing I would add is, especially in the tech industry, being able to do like non-costly self projects that can actually help you demonstrate the experience or sort of the expertise that you have. It's really great. I saw someone mention in the chat that they're interested in UI and they're trying to pivot and things like that. And I would say being able to invest in like maybe an hour a week in kind of building a website or an application that can actually show the creativity or sort of that UI UX sort of value that you can bring to a company is a great way to say, I have experience and my experience has led me into building X, Y, and Z. And here's an example of that. And I think that does count as experience for these entry jobs for sure.
Okay. Justin had a really good question in the chat. He asked, how do you recommend we handle the requirement of most employers for having robust growth-based goals when sometimes what one just really wants is a reliable job that will be there for them every day? I also very much identify with this question because like it's not that everybody needs to be climbing the ladder all the time, but some people just don't want to. Hi. So like if you are that person and you're just like, it's not that I'm not here to work. I just don't want to advance. I want a job. I want to know that it's here for me. Have you had people come to you with this, or how would you position this if you were just trying to find some place to get your kind of everyday job?
I can start that off. I think I understand if like a company is asking you specifically for that, like common interview question is what's your 5-year plan here, right? And I am not someone who likes to climb a ladder either. I like to say like I'm not vertically oriented, I'm more horizontally. Like I like to explore other things instead of just like going in my track in my career. And I think finding companies that prioritize that and then being able to say like, oh, well, growth to me looks like knowing more tech, knowing other fields, expanding like again horizontally rather than necessarily just vertically. And maybe whatever you're passionate about, trying to find a way to expand into that instead of just saying, oh, I'm here to just climb a ladder. And then hoping that you're applying for a company that understands you and wants to prioritize that and finding a way to like meet in the middle.
I like that. Joseph, any thoughts?
Just quickly, I would say, I think we can all agree that every human would love to make progress in anything that they're doing. And whether that is something that like you define in a way that is different from the way I define it and so on and so forth, we can agree that we all want to make progress. Now, in that case, you might be a contributor that just wants to do that one thing, and that's all you need to, you kind of want to focus on and things like that. And I would say, yeah, that is your interest, that is your passion, that is what you want to do, and that's totally okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I would say just figure out a way of tracking how you're actually progressing in terms of what you're trying to do. Because I would definitely not advocate for any type of like stagnation in any particular career. And that stagnation does not mean that if you're not going up the ladder, then you're stagnating. I think it's more of find ways of making sure that you're actually valuable at any particular given point. And being good at what you do, being able to evaluate and know how you are able or how you're progressing, that's really something that kind of attaches or sort of aligns to that you're making progress. And as long as you're making progress in the way you define that, I think that's really key. So find ways of making progress, find ways of tracking that progress, and make sure you're not stagnating.
I love this. I love all of this advice. We only have a couple minutes left, but I wanted to real quick make sure we said thank you to both Jackie and Joseph. Thank you both so much for taking time out of your day to spend with us today, sharing your expertise, all the prep work that goes on before this event even starts. Like it does not go unnoticed. So thank you both so very much for joining us today. It's been really great to learn from both of you, and I very much hope we get to do this again.
Thanks so much for the opportunity.
Yeah, much. Very, very glad that and very fortunate that we were able to come and chat with you all. And yeah, very good conversation. And good luck to everyone that is searching, pivoting, or doing whatever you're doing to do. All I will say is make sure you make your impact known, or you contribute to something that you really care about.
I love this. Okay. Now, obviously, what we're seeing on the screen right now is Esri's company page on PowerToFly.com. If you are not seeing this big pink follow button at the top of their company page, it's because you're not logged in. But once you are, that pink button is going to be at the top of every company page on PowerToFly.com. Now, if anything that we've said today has sparked your interest in Esri, you want to learn more, I very much recommend you check out their company page. We'll throw the link in the chat in just a moment, or you can follow the QR code that's on the slide. What you should know is if you click that follow button, it's going to do some great things for you. But effectively, what it does is it allows Power to Fly to keep you on Esri's radar because we will tell the Esri team that you're interested in working with them even before you fill out an application. So this is a really great option if you're actively job seeking but don't see the perfect role to apply to right now. Tap that follow button. The other thing it's really good for is it allows Power to Fly to keep Esri on your radar because we will tell you when they post new roles. So that way you don't, if you are interested in Esri, you don't miss a post that would be perfect for you to apply to. But like I said, there's some other great like tips and stuff that go along with the follow button. But basically, like if you are interested in Esri, even if you're not like actively looking right now, tapping that follow button means that you will have a short list of companies the next time you are curious about what's out there. You can come back to Power to Fly and you already have a short list of companies that you know have really walked the walk and talked the talk when it comes to issues that matter to you, like inclusion. So I very much recommend this. I also want to say a giant thank you to our audience members as well. Uh, I love that you came to today's event because obviously I have a job, but I love that you came to today's event even more because you just took 60 minutes out of your day to do something positive for yourself and your career. Okay. That is not an easy thing in this day and age. It is a pretty thankless task. So whether you are a little treat person or not, listen to Meg. Okay. Give yourself the cookie, gold star, pat on the back, coffee drink, maybe not Starbucks is all I'm saying, but treat yourself, okay? Be nice to yourself because the world is hard enough as it is. Now, that's going to be it for us today, but we have some great content coming for you tomorrow as well as all next week. Or sorry, all the rest of this week. I just realized it's Wednesday and not Thursday. But I hope that y'all have a wonderful rest of your day, week, weekend. Go out, have the day you voted for, and maybe be nice to somebody today. Just a little. All right, y'all. That's going to be it from us. See ya.